Hello and welcome to Rusty Junk. Just me and Joe today. Amanda is so busy with work. Unfortunately, she didn't get a chance to actually see the film, and Dominic's just not available for this one. But I'm sure he will be back for the next one, which we've already decided, and we'll tell you about that at the end of the podcast. But for this one, we are looking at the 1984 film 2010, the year we made contact. Which is the sequel to 2001: A Space Odyssey from 1968. But this sequel stars Roy Scheider, Helen Mirren, John Lithgow, Bob Balaban, loads of others. We will get to that. First, here's the trailer.
How are you going to convince your people to allow Americans to go on the flight?
We are going to get there first, and you have the knowledge to make the trip work.
I'm going on the flight.
How far away is Jupiter?
Far.
Mommy said you're going to be asleep for a long time. Are you going to die?
Dr. Floyd. Dr. Floyd. Dr. Arloff has encountered some strange data coming from Europa. I will send Max down with a pod.
I wouldn't do that.
Oh, really?
If you want to send a pod down there, send an unmanned one.
Hey, a piece of pie.
Cake.
Piece of cake. Cake, yes.
If this date is correct, then there's something down there.
It is correct. It was organic. There was life.
Is it moving?
Yes.
It's incredible. Listen for a minute. We've got to get out of here.
I can't do all these things with no reason. I can't.
Forget reason. There's no time to be reasonable.
Can't find him!
Are you sure you are making the right decision? I think we should stop.
You see, something's going to happen.
What?
Something wonderful.
I don't know about you, Joe, but after that trailer, I mean, if, for those people that watched it on YouTube, I mean, even if you heard it, it probably sounded good. I want to see that film.
Yeah, definitely.
I'm like, somebody's dared to make a, well, I don't say dared to make the sequel, dared to make the film of the book that Arthur C. Clarke wrote as the sequel to 2001. And there's sometimes they talk about books which are unfilmable. What comes to mind is Naked Lunch, David Cronenberg, with Peter Weller, played Robocop. They always said that was unfilmable, but they made it. And June is sometimes said the book is just weaves everywhere. It's a really hard film to make. It's weird because June will pop up in the trivia at some point, but we'll get to that in a moment. A bit of background before I go into these asking your score. Sorry, I'm so always thinking that we've got everybody on and it's just you and me. So the background to this is I actually saw 2001: A Space Odyssey when I was 11. So I'd been to see Star Wars. So pretty much anything that came up sci-fi, I had to see. I just had to, devour it. Battle Beyond the Stars. Anything like that came on, I just had to watch it. I remember going to the cinema and being quite confused, but I recognized the majesty of 2001 and, the epic nature of it. I didn't know a lot of what was going on, but I knew that this was something special. So when I came out of that, especially the trippy scene with the tunnel in 2001, which does go on a little bit too long. I know that's heresy to even say anything bad against that film.
No, it's not heresy. I agree with you.
Yeah. And then to know, having seen that next year there'll be a sequel to this, and it will star one of your favorite actors, and you're just like, this is dizzying. This is great, and I can't imagine the people that had to wait 16 years for that, to see what happened next. So I feel very lucky. But anyway, that's just a little bit of background. Joe, over to you. Come on, man. What did you think of this? I am dying to know what you thought about this.
Yeah, I really do wish that Amanda and Dom were here, because I think that it would be such a great discussion to have. And not that I'm going to come off, I am going to have some negatives here, because I know that's going to disappoint you a little bit.
You don't know my score yet. Oh, okay.
But overall, it's very positive. But I think part of the problem is I wish they would have made this film sooner, like probably a couple of years after 2001, because like you, I saw 2001: A Space Odyssey when I was younger, and I was confused. I was bored because there was very little speaking, and back then, you need to be constantly entertained. But then, when you see it as an adult, it's a masterpiece. It's an absolute masterpiece of film. Stanley Kubrick is a genius. I've seen the majority of his films, and I'm just blown away by what this guy was able to do with so many things, and so many book adaptations too, where he actually improved upon the novel, which I think is fascinating. But it's tough where you have to compare these two. You can't help but compare 2001: A Space Odyssey and 2010, the year we made contact, and they're completely different films. Again, the original one's a masterpiece, but this one's more coherent, and it's more of a movie that you would normally want to see.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, because it's enjoyable, it's entertaining, and again, you don't have to have like a degree in physics to really thoroughly enjoy the movie. It's just one of those movies that you can go and enjoy, and you don't really have to know too much about the first one. But my problem being a fan of 2001, I don't understand the casting of Roy Scheider as Floyd.
Okay, I can afford.
Well,
that.
This is the thing. It's like at the time, I still think that they could have used the original actor, because he was mostly in the beginning of the first part of the movie. I don't see why they couldn't bring him back, because he still was. I think he was in his 50s at that time. Or they could have made Roy Scheider's character a different character, because it throws you off. His personality, his look, it's completely different. And I guess it's everyone's vision of what they're looking at the book, not necessarily the movie as a source. And when you look at 2001, they all have like 70s like haircuts, and also that's kind of throws me off a little bit too. Even the filming of it, they must have filmed. I don't know if 2001 was filmed in 35 millimeter or 70 millimeter or something like that. This had to be filmed differently, because the look of it looked completely different from the original one. But that's my biggest complaints.
Okay, I think those aren't really. No, okay.
Yeah, I'm not saying like Roy Scheider is very good in it. I don't fault his acting or anything like that. In fact, if there was a way to go back in time, I think I'd rather see Roy Scheider in 2001. But we have to deal with what we have. But yeah, no, I think it's a great movie. I really enjoyed it. The acting is superb throughout. I can't fault anybody in the acting department. I think they all do a great job. The writing is very good. Oh yeah, and also the original one is very slow paced, and this one is fast paced. It goes so fast that before you know it, they're on the Discovery, and I just think that's pretty cool too. It's gotta. I guess the director. It's got to be tough to take on something that was once a masterpiece and he can't replicate it. He's got to do his own thing, and I think that's what he did. And I think he did a good job for a film by itself. I think it's an excellent film, but it's overshadowed by the big one. So I'm going to give this a rating of an 8 out of 10.
Wow. Nice, man. I genuinely didn't know which way you were going to go on it, because I didn't know whether or not you were going to go Helen Mirren's accent, which I don't have a problem with. I don't have a problem with any. I don't have a problem with anybody. As you say, I think everyone plays their part and plays it extremely well, including the NSC director. I think he is very good. The guy that he's speaking to outside the White House. I think, as I say, everybody's good. So from an 8, I think because I was caught up in the whole Jaws thing, and then seeing Blue Thunder, you kind of like this guy can do no wrong. You know, he's just brilliant in whatever he does. The fact that he's in this, you know, little known Helen Mirren. We'll get to how most boys my age knew Helen Mirren, but we will get to that in roll call. And so it's very good to see Helen Mirren in there as well. So from my point of view, I'd watched The World According to Garp. I loved John Lithgow, and still do to this day. And you kind of like all these pieces are in there together. It's groundbreaking. I mean, we'll get to it in trivia, and we might actually get to it while we're in the film, because when we look at something like the set design, you know, you look at the care, the detail, the attention that's been put into something like that, and yeah, you're lifting it from the book. I mean, I know we might skittle around all over the place, but it's visionary. Even this film is visionary. The visionary of the set design that they wanted to do, the way that the director and Arthur C. Clarke were using a little known thing called email to go back and forth with each other, or they're consulting each other all the time. That's a labour of love. That's a kind of, I want to keep true to this as much as I can. I've got this huge, big responsibility to create the sequel, which has been written. I'm not writing it myself. I'm directing it. I think it's exceptionally well directed. I think some of the shots, some of the wide shots, especially when they're sat around the table, again, you could say nicked from Ridley Scott in Alien, and that sort of shot. But even that shot in the White House where they're just talking, you've got all this stuff going on in the background, and you've got the majesty of the White House there, and you've just got them talking, and they're tiny, they're in the middle, and you're like, I love the direction of this film. I just think it's so well done. Let down by the special effects, but then they were just using what they had at the time. Maybe that's the only thing. But no, when I watched this, I came out and was satisfied. I thought that was great. I went to see it again the following week, which wasn't unheard of. But if a film came out and it was popular, like Ghostbusters, you'd have to have a massive wait at the following weekend and things like that. So thankfully there wasn't the same sort of queue. So for me, I pretty much know this film off by heart, because I think I wore out my VHS copy of it, because I just went on and on and on and on and just watched it in the same way that I would continually watch Jaws, The Sure Thing, Better Off Dead, all those sorts of stuff, and I just wear it out, because I just it'd be my go-to film to go and think, what should I watch? Fine, I just stick it on. So for me, I'm going to have to give it a 9, because I love it. There's nothing about this film that I don't like, but it could have been better. It could have been slightly better in certain areas, but we'll get to that. So that's a good start. An 8 and a 9. I'm loving that. Okay.
Did you read the books at all?
I did. So I did read. Yeah. So I read 2010, and it didn't make an awful lot of sense to me when I read the book. I haven't read the other two, because I've been warned off them and say don't, because it'll just spoil your enjoyment of the first two. So the story continues. I mean, I did make a note of this, that in the books, Frank Poole, who was jettisoned out of the airlock in 2001, is resurrected 1,000 years later after floating in space, and I'm just like, I'm happy with what I've got. I'm not. Did you read them? I don't know.
No, I didn't read any of the books, but I know that there are 4 of them.
Yeah,
and I think that the last one is a conclusion, and but it does make you curious. I mean, if you're fans of the movies, what happened? I did kind of read some in Wikipedia about what happens towards the end and everything. I don't know. It kind of bums me though, because I would have liked to seen a finality in a movie form just to see it end, because they did kind of leave us hanging with this movie, and this movie tries to answer a lot of questions. They even, like in the beginning, they show that they have all these questions that they have that they're going to determine whether they can answer them, but it leaves us with even more questions by the end, you know. And that's what I'm not crazy about. And not all the questions that they asked were answered too. So I would have liked to seen again, just for it to be complete. But you know, you could be right. We could have been disappointed. I don't know. I think Arthur C. Clarke wrote the sequels too.
Yes, he did. Yeah. He
So,
wrote a lot of books. A lot of books. And when I was going on Amazon, I think there were like 10 pages, 10 screens that you could go through, and I'm like, I think he was just writing a book a week.
I used to. I was really into 2001 at some point, and I forgot a lot of information about it. But I think at the time that Stanley Kubrick was writing, was doing the movie, they still weren't done with the book. You know, he still wasn't done with it. So Stanley Kubrick made a lot of changes that are very different from the book. And again, I did watch that movie recently, 2001, before it, and like I said, it overshadows this movie. But it's still, this is a fun movie. I think if I was younger, or if I was going to show this to one of my kids or something like that, I'd be like, you might want to watch this one, the 2010 version, you know, and then when you get older, maybe you'll appreciate the 2001.
Yeah. I remember being on my own. So I think I was 11, when I saw it. And I was on my own in the cinema. Back in the day when you could just go, hi, I'm just going out to the cinema. Walk the 3 miles into town, and then go to the cinema on your own. You just sit there and go, wow. Can't do that these days. Oh well, never mind. Shall we do roll call? Shall we go to roll call?
Sure.
Excellent. Here is roll call.
Roll call.
No, he's determined to get that in every time. It plays havoc with my editing, but it's fine. Don't worry, I'll figure it out. Roy Scheider.
Yeah, well, of course.
Don't think he's done much. It was in a film about I don't know, some underwater thing. I don't know, like set at sea. I can't remember. Oh, that's it. Just the greatest film of all time, Jaws, and a half passable sequel.
Yeah, don't you have the Funko Pop behind you?
I do. They're right at the top there. For those that are, well, there they are. Just above my head there, and there's Bruce himself right next to them. Oh no, the camera doesn't like that. But yes, there they are, Quint, Brody, and Hooper. I mean, he's great, but didn't do a lot. But what he did was very good. So we can go talk about all that jazz. We can talk about French Connection. We can talk about Marathon Man. Regular listeners will know how much I love Blue Thunder. I just think it's incredible that this was the year before. So Roy Scheider's having a good couple of years on this. Unfortunately, like most things, he then goes straight to video films such as Cohen and Tate, 52 Pickup with Anne Margaret. And then we don't hear from him a lot, and then he comes back in Sequest DSV, which was all right, wasn't great. And probably the Punisher's dad in the
Yeah, I forgot about that.
Yeah. Frank Castle's dad. And then, yeah, sadly died. I don't know. Yeah, it's probably going on must be about 10 years. 10 years ago that he died. But yeah, I love him. I think he's one of the greatest characters in the greatest film. Yeah. Anything to add on Roy Scheider?
No, not much. No, I do think he's a good actor. He's been in a lot of good movies. I can't recall any bombs that he's been in. Like you said, like the ones that you mentioned are the only ones that I'm familiar with.
You want grizzled, grumpy, leathery, doesn't play by the rules type thing. If you want somebody like that, Roy Scheider's you had.
And like you, I think I would have liked to seen more of him. You know, I feel like maybe he took too much time in between making movies.
Yeah,
because I think we could have gotten a lot more from him.
Absolutely. I mean, you know, he does make some good decisions, like not coming back for Jaws 3, which, Roy, wherever you're listening, yes, you definitely made the right decision. Even though I do like that film, but anyway, it wouldn't have been better if he was in it. It probably would have been slightly worse. Helen Mirren. So, as I spoke about at the start, boys of a certain age will remember the first time that they saw Helen Mirren is because somebody had a copy of their dad's copy of Caligula, where Helen Mirren goes naked in it.
Oh, I didn't realize she was in. I mean, I'd seen that, like.
Yes.
Yeah, just as I was going into adulthood.
The formative years, Joe. The formative years, yes.
Yeah, out of curiosity, but yeah, that movie sucked. I think I watched maybe 20 minutes of it, and that was it. So I don't even know if I got to see Helen Mirren. I didn't know she was in it, but okay.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh yes, I remember that. And I know that sounds quite grubby, and so to counter that, I would say go onto YouTube and type in Helen Mirren, Michael Parkinson, where he's interviewing her, and she's fighting back and basically saying, "Oh, I'm not going to be typecast as, you know, this person that gets their clothes off and things like that." And she's having none of it, and she's basically standing her ground. If you want a real early example of feminism, but not in the not trying to force it down, she's basically just being natural. We know how Helen Mirren developed as a person, as an actor, definitely 100%. I mean, we'll go through that in a moment. And then, of course, there's the Long Good Friday that she was in, which we covered on the podcast. So she's very good in that. She was in Excalibur, White Knights. She's very good in White Knights, where the Russian accent came back again, if I seem to remember. Mosquito Coast, which we've covered on the podcast. So yeah, we've actually done quite a bit of Helen Mirren.
She's in The Queen.
She was in The Queen. She's Jane Tennyson in Prime Suspect, which was huge over here, and then it made the leap over to the US, and then you remade it as you normally do. You take our best ideas and remake them into. Anyway, yeah. Calendar Girls, Last Orders, The Queen, as you said, cemented her like she was back. Not like she ever went away, but cemented her as in, right, Helen Mirren is a force to be reckoned with. She is great in that film. She's wonderful. Even if you're a Republican, Federalist, anarchist, whatever you are, at least you've got to say that that's pretty good. She made good decisions, like being in Red and Red 2, which I thought were great films. Very bad decisions. She was in the Arthur remake with Russell Brand, which nobody remembers. And here's my advice: nobody should watch. Do not watch that. Do not get mildly curious and go, "Oh, look, this thing on Netflix. We've seen everything else. This is the only film left. Watch something else again." Do not watch Arthur. The voice of the Dean in Monsters University.
Oh yeah, she was great. I loved her in that.
She's very, very good. Very, very good. She was in Eye in the Sky, which was great. It's all about a military operation that she's involved with. She is excellent in that. Please check out Eye in the Sky. Then she goes all mainstream. She goes into Fast and Furious as Jason Statham's mom in Fast and Furious. Look, it is what it is. I do like the Stath. He's got Meg 2 coming out this year, which I can't wait for.
Wow.
Because I did like the Meg. I did think it was good. It's not gory enough, but still. But yes, and now she's currently starring, and I haven't watched it, even though I do have Apple. I had a free Apple TV subscription, and then I went on there and said, "There's nothing here I want to watch."
Yeah, me too.
Yeah. Apart from, she's in a thing with Harrison Ford called 1923, and there's a new thing, another series. I don't know what Harrison Ford's done. Sold his soul to Apple or whatever, but he's got another series out there with Jason Segel called Shrinking, where he plays a psychiatrist. Okay, I'll check them both out, but more for Helen Mirren, I think, in this case than Harrison Ford. So yeah, that's Helen Mirren. There we go. Now, can we move on to John Lithgow? Come on, man. Take me on a Joe journey of John Lithgow and whether you like him, whether you don't like him, what highlights.
No, I like him a lot, but it's like now I feel like Amanda, where it's like I gotta come up with movies and I can't really think of a lot. Well, I know about Garp. I mean, and he was nominated for Best Supporting Actor in that.
Oh, it's incredible.
The ones I think of, he was in Shrek.
Yes, that's right.
He's the voice of the king.
Lord Farquaad, yeah.
Right. Lord. What the hell else was he in? Twilight Zone.
Yeah. Oh, right. Okay. You're not going for probably the most obvious one, but that's fine. We will get there collectively. Twilight Zone, where he played in the segment Nightmare at 40,000 Feet.
Yeah, he was like William Shatner had done that in the original, and he was doing the remake, and I think that was the best part of the movie.
Yes.
I can't think. Go ahead. You.
Well, he was in All That Jazz with Roy Scheider. He was also let's start in order. He played Yoda's voice in the Empire Strikes Back radio drama.
Oh, well.
Oh, I know.
You almost shocked me.
That's the. I'm not saying. I'm not saying I've got. That's the thing that you should have remembered. I didn't know that until I researched it.
Yeah, it's not a big deal, I don't think.
Yeah, but he played Yoda. I mean, come on. I mean, that's got to count for something. The Reverend Shaw, the good Reverend Shaw in Footloose.
Well, that's probably a reason. I'm not a fond of that movie.
Joe,
I think I just saw it like 2 years ago for the first time in my life.
What? 2 years ago?
Yep.
How did you get through the 80s without seeing Footloose?
Because like it's about a guy dancing. It's like no, I mean
the guy rebelling against rock music. No music
I feel
can be
bad.
played.
I feel bad watching Dirty Dancing. You know, it's like, but I eventually saw it. Footloose. Don't like it.
So
sorry.
Footloose and Dirty Dancing, you're not keen on?
No.
Right. Wow. Okay. Good job. Amanda's not on. She'd have reached through. She'd have like clambered through like She-Hulk into your bit. Sorry for a She-Hulk reference in there. Don't watch that rubbish. Bigfoot and the Hendersons. Although you called it Harry and the Hendersons over there, we called it Bigfoot and the Hendersons because actually we want to explain what it is. It's about a Bigfoot and a family called the Hendersons, but obviously America is happy with the obscure.
Well, I think you could figure out during the trailer what it is, who Harry is.
Yeah, but if you're right, so you're standing in front of a cinema, and you're going, "Oh, what are we going to watch?" And you can't see the poster, and you just have that beautiful. I mean, they don't have it anymore, and I miss it so much with putting on the individual letters onto the white background with the lines, and that's what's playing. If you're sitting there, you're going, "Oh, look, Ghostbusters," or sorry, at that time probably Ghostbusters 2. Ghostbusters 2 or Harry and the Hendersons. What's Harry and the Hendersons about? You go see Ghostbusters 2.
Well, then you're an idiot, you know.
Well,
because
there's lots of idiots around, Joe.
No, because basically, if you go to the movies,
you
don't go to the movie theater and go, "Oh, what's playing?" You look in the paper first to figure out what's playing, and then they give you a description of what it's about. They give you a picture of what it looks like. You just don't say, "Oh, let's go to the movies and see what's playing." Although that did happen with. It's kind of funny. I got to tell you this story. My
Go on.
grandmother took my sister to to the movies to see Monty Python and the Holy Grail. She thought it was a
Ooh.
religious movie. And then after about a half an hour, she ran out and she banged on the on the ticket place, demanded her money back. It's like, this is false advertising.
Oh, the holy hand grenade of Antioch. Yes. Oh, don't get started on Monty Python. We have to do Monty Python at some point. I mean, we really do. Really do. There's so many little individual films. I know it's Amanda's choice for the next one. It almost feels like we've got to do Lucky Dip next season because there's so many little gaps that we need to plug. But anyway, yes. So, Bigfoot and the Hendersons. Oh, look, I'm going to see a film about a Bigfoot with a family. Sold. Here's my money. There you go. He was one of the commanders in Memphis Belle. Yes, I managed to get an Eric Stoltz reference in. Just
didn't see that one either.
Eric Stoltz is very, very good in that, as is Matthew Modine. I do like Memphis Belle, not just because of Eric Stoltz. He was with Denzel Washington in Ricochet. Plays some good, like some mean characters. Raising Cain, he was the bad guy. There was a time when Alan Rickman probably kicked it off that the bad guy had to be a Brit. The bad guy had to be one of us. And that carried on in 1992, I believe, was Cliffhanger with Stallone, where he played the bad guy in that with a very, very put-on accent.
No, it's funny, like all those movies that you mentioned, I haven't seen.
You haven't seen Cliffhanger?
No.
I thought you were a Stallone fan. Have you not seen like stuff like Daybreak?
Well, I'm a Stallone fan when it comes to Rocky and Rambo.
So you're not mildly curious of his other films are any good?
No. I saw
Lock Up?
Copland. What's that?
Lock Up?
I didn't see Lock Up.
Lock Up's got Donald Sutherland in it. Donald Sutherland and Stallone in the same film. Escape Room? Oh no, Escape Plan?
Nope.
With Schwarzenegger?
Nope.
Right, so your Stallone is limited to I will just watch these and don't exist.
Yes. It's my choice.
I think you'd like Cliffhanger. I mean, Cliffhanger is... Well, actually, you probably wouldn't. You probably get really irritated.
What's the movie when he was like in the tunnel?
Daybreak.
Oh, okay. I didn't see that either.
Yeah. Viggo Mortensen's good in that, but unfortunately makes some very poor decisions. I'm not going to spoil anything for you there. Yeah, we've got Shrek. He was in This Is 40. Third Rock from the Sun, obviously, was his biggest TV series. He was in Interstellar, which is on my list of things to watch. I haven't watched it. I don't know if it's any good.
Oh, I remember when he was in the Planet of the Apes remake.
Planet of the Apes remake. And most recently, he's exceptionally good with Jeff Bridges in The Old Man, which is a series I believe is on Amazon Prime. I think it's on Amazon Prime. If not, go and check it out. It's really, really good. Moving on, Bob Balaban, the computer nerd in this. Basically, was in Close Encounters. Gosford Park. He's exceptionally good in Bob Roberts. I'm sorry, how many times? If I had £1 for every time I mentioned it on the series and on podcasts, I probably would have about £9 now. If you've been listening to us since 2019, since we started, and you still haven't got around to watching Bob Roberts, make it your task after you finish this podcast is to go and seek out the film and watch Bob Roberts. Everybody's good in that. Alan Rickman's good in that. Giancarlo Esposito is amazing in it. Tim Robbins is iconic in it because he created this character. It's just brilliant. But anyway,
okay, I will try to watch it.
Fine, and I'm sure you'll find a place that you can go and
yes, I think that I think
you probably could. Yes, Gosford Park, Grand Budapest Hotel. I haven't seen these, but no. Now, his wife, Madeline Smith Osborne, who played his wife, she looked as if she should have been in more stuff than she was. Because
wait, I just want to go back to that other guy.
Okay,
I think I forget his name.
Bob Balaban.
He's just very, like, when you see him like in movies and TVs, he's very recognizable. He was in a lot of that stuff, like with the Best in Show gang, and
Yes, yeah.
I forget what they don't really have a name, but they have a bunch of movies. He's in almost all of them. Waiting for Guffman. But you know what I found funny a couple of times while watching this movie 2010 is I think he would have been a good Hooper. If they couldn't get Dreyfuss back for Jaws 2.
He's not animated enough. He's not boyish enough.
I think he could be, but he had the look, and it just like when I'd see them together, I just thought of Brody and Hooper a couple of times.
Well, okay. Completely opposed to each other in this film, but okay. Little bit of What If coming in there, Joe. Okay, please go and listen to mine and Joe's What If podcast. We had a great time doing them. It's half talking about who could have been in films, and it's half us talking about, I don't know, differences in food. Well, food stuffs between countries and things like that. Lots of other things besides. Anyway, his wife at the start breaks the wine glass because she knows he's going to go away. She looks as if she should have been in a lot of stuff, and I looked at her and she was in Funny Farm with Chevy Chase, which is probably where I might have recognised her. And All of Me with Steve Martin and Lily Tomlin. She was in that film as well. That's it. Not a lot else.
Can't imagine what she played in that because there's not too many. There are two lead women, and she's not one of them.
Yeah. Mary Jo Deschanel. She played basically Bowman's wife. So you saw her. For those obsessed with the TV series Twin Peaks, would have recognised her as Eileen Hayward, Donna's mum, and she was also in The Right Stuff. And then you've got I don't know the right way to pronounce this, but Maxim, the guy who played Maxim, Elia Baskin. He's good. Piece of what was it? Piece of
pie.
Piece of pie. Yeah. Kuritsa.
I used to work with a Russian guy, and I always used to call him Durak, and because he told me that's what stupid means in Russian. Durak.
Durak. He was in Being There with Peter Sellers. He was Moscow on the Hudson with Robin Williams. He was in Deep Star 6. So Leviathan and Deep Star 6 came out at the same time, and both of them were rubbish. Well, I used to think that it was good, and then I watched it again for the podcast, and it was dreadful. He was in Vice Versa. He was Austin Powers, the first one, 13 Days. He played Mr. Ditkovich in Spider-Man 2 and 3. He was the landlord.
Really?
Yeah.
I did not know that.
Yeah. I didn't to look that up, but yeah.
He hasn't aged well.
No. And he was in one of the seasons of Homeland, but then so were quite a lot of people in that way. But yeah, roll call. I wasn't going to do that's it. That's it. Unless you've got something else that I've missed out.
Nope.
Okay.
Well, Hal.
Yeah. Well. Yeah. Okay. Hal. So let's talk about the director, Peter Hyams. Just as a final bit, Hanover Street with Harrison Ford. Have you ever seen that?
No, I haven't.
It's a good film. So that's where I first remember. But look at the caliber of people he was working with. Outland. So he's working with Sean Connery. Star Chamber. He was working with Michael Douglas. Capricorn 1. I forgot who was in Capricorn 1. Do you remember?
No.
Running Scared, which we did for the podcast. So Billy Crystal in that one. Presidio. Again, Sean Connery again with Mark Harmon. Narrow Margin. Gene Hackman. Anne Archer. Oh, I fancied Anne Archer so much. The older woman thing, I don't know. Anyway, hormones were going all over the place. And he directed Time Cop, which is delightfully entertaining.
I'll agree.
Yeah, it's very good. So yes, let's take the hat off to the director. Anyway, onto the film. I like the bit at the start. I like the précis. I like the, as you said, if you're watching this and you hadn't seen the other one, it kind of eases you into it and says, here are some of the questions, here in the form of a report. I thought this is the perfect way to start the film. What do you think?
Yeah, no, I thought it was really well done. Because again, it's been a long time since most of us have seen 2001, and it kind of remembers the questions that we have about a lot of it. The one thing that, well, I guess we'll get into it as we go into it more, is that I like I said, I just feel like it creates more questions and it doesn't answer some. Like they never really answered what the monolith is, but I had to look it up. So apparently what it is any time that there's like a change in evolution, like an evolutionary change in man.
Okay.
That's when the monolith appears, because the aliens are trying to kind of lead them, to a certain, like once they reach a certain level. So like in the first movie, it was the apes, or, modern man, and they started to use tools and all that and weapons. And then the next thing, when they did space exploration and they were on the moon, they had planted another monolith, so that once they end up finding this monolith, that would create a signal that would lead towards Jupiter, where there would be another monolith. And again, I don't know if in the other books, if there were more monoliths that, man would go, but they were trying, it was kind of like a puzzle. Like it's like almost like you're not ready yet, but once you reach the moon, once you're able to do space flight and do exploration and you're able to reach the moon, all right, now your next step is going to be towards Jupiter. So that's kind of like what the monolith is. It's not necessarily anything godlike or anything like that. It's just something that they plant.
Yeah. Amanda did ask me while watching that. She goes, "What's that? That's a monolith. What's that do?" Okay, I'll try and explain it to you. But yeah, I didn't come up with anything as articulate as that. I said it's a thing, it's an entity that somehow wants to communicate and wants to push us onto the right path. So I was sort of there.
Yeah.
Not
I
far
mean,
off.
and I probably didn't say it perfectly, but
No, you said it better than I could. But also, I love the exchange between at the radio listening station with all the what do you call them? Telescopes. They call them telescopes. The satellite dishes. Yeah, big satellite dishes. I'm sure there's a technical name for it. And how many times I've watched that and I've never bothered to look it up. But yeah, radio things. It was exactly the same ones. It's exactly the same place they used for Contact with Jodie Foster.
Yeah, it did look familiar.
Yeah. And now it's been mothballed. It doesn't. No love given to it, and basically put out to pasture. But what you found is that Haywood Floyd, the character, has been thrown under the bus. The Russian, the counterpart that's talking to him is basically giving us a lot of the story without saying, here's the chronological order of things that have happened. It's just like, you're Chancellor now. Yeah. Kind of like thrown under the bus, were you? For that report, and was it all blamed upon you? But there's mutual respect between the two of them. And I just thought, what a way to open this film. Because that is basically the Russians, we're going to play a game for 2 minutes. We're going to tell them, it's called The Truth. And we're just going to tell each other the truth. It's brilliant. It's really good. And, you can look at all the comparisons when they're meeting each other halfway. You don't need to be like, have it painted for you, but this is the sort of respect, is that these people are scientists. These people are, men of a certain thing. They're not involved in this. They're not particularly bothered about the war and the standoff that's going on at the time. But they're just basically going, I need to be able to tell you something. Have you checked Discovery's orbit recently? And like, what? So I just think this is a great exchange at the start.
Yeah, it shows that they are loyal to their countries, but they're more loyal to mankind.
Yes.
And they feel that supersedes any kind of loyalty to an individual country. And I feel that way too. It's like, we really need to get out there. Like, we've done nothing. I just hope that there's more exploration in our future, because there's so many things that we just don't understand that we could.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't know why we haven't been back to the moon. If Amanda was on here, she would have told you. We've gone into great detail. We've never been there. Yes. Look, I don't think we have either, right? And that's probably going to pick up, whoa, it's a conspiracy nut. No, it doesn't make sense. The thing that doesn't make sense is with the technology that I've got in this watch, right? They sent with far lesser technology. They sent people to the moon, right? And they've never done it since. Why don't you be Jeff Bezos in Amazon and go, do you know what? I'm going to plant an Amazon flag on the moon, and it's going to cost 15 billion. He'd probably find that down the back of his sofa. 15 billion for us to go to space. Elon Musk can't go to the moon, and you're like, he's been spending his entire life with SpaceX and the space exploration, but nobody can seem to do it. But we did it in the 60s. Really?
I think recently they sent Israel. I think sent a satellite to the moon, and it just touched down and then it just left.
That was good.
I don't know why they did that. I mean, just to show that they could do it. But I don't know. I mean, I believe that it was real.
Well, Stanley Kubrick filmed it, so
Yeah, I know they pushed that, but I believe it was real. I mean, that'd be a huge cover up. I mean, if it was fake, I'd love it. If it was fake, because I'd be like, damn, now I got a lot of TV I can watch about how they covered it up. But I just don't believe it. I feel like that we have been to the moon. I mean, I think it was like 11 times. I could be wrong, but we've been there numerous times. They've brought that moon rocks.
Never been back.
Well, part of the reason I think that we haven't been back is because they're cheap. It's like very expensive to, finance a moon mission, and they just during certain reigns of presidents, they refuse to spend money.
Yes, but billionaires are narcissists.
Well, that's what they're doing right now.
What they want to do is Jeff Bezos going.
But how long have they been doing that?
5 years ago.
We'll say 5 years ago.
Well, let's say he said 5 years ago, build me a rocket. Here's 15 billion. I want to sit in that capsule and I want to go to the moon.
Well, that's what they're doing now. They're testing it. It's like they don't want to just send people up there and then just have them die. I mean, but
they sent them in a rickety shed in the 60s.
Well, yeah, that was back then.
We've got comfort. We've got beer fridges and things that you can put in there. It's all comfort now.
All I know is Superman 4, Superman was on the moon and he saw the flag, the United States flag, so it's real.
Zod and Ursula, and they took the flags from the moon.
But he put them back up?
Well, yes. Superman can get to the, there we go, Superman can. I'm just moving on slightly from it. I do like the fact that then it goes into talking with the National Security Advisor in front of the White House. As soon as they realise that they've got a problem, that Discovery we've got to get to Discovery ASAP. And he's like, you have my job. Go. How are we going to sell this? Well, yeah. Do you want the Russians to get there first? Do you want them to have all the information? And it's the Russians that are saying, "Oh, a few poor Americans who need our help, boo-hoo." And they've got it all mapped out how they're gonna sell this. It does seem given what was going on, that none of that would have worked, and there's no way that they would have been allowed on the ship. But you're right, as he said, that you don't have the expertise to get HAL going again. You don't. If you're going up there for answers, it'll take you months and months and months to try and work this out. Whereas they can do it as they did in like a couple of weeks. So yeah, I just again love the shots. I love the wide shots in this, and I'm sorry to go on about it. But do you want to know a nice little bit of trivia? When it cuts to Chandra and it cuts to his lab, again, look at the tech and the things that they were putting in there. It's trying to be visionary. I mean, 2010 turned out to be far more technical than what they envisaged. But that wasn't because of a lack of, potential and vision of what it would all look like. Do you know who the voice of Sal was?
Yeah.
Oh, you do, right? I was hoping I'd catch you with that one. So it's Candice Bergen, and she's not listed in the film credits. She comes up with a different name. I don't know if you had she did the name back. She did a name backwards or something in order to have the credit for Sal's voice.
Oh, I didn't know that.
It's not her, yeah. But even that exchange, where they're talking about, I'm going to have to disconnect. I'm going to have to disconnect you. And the computer and Sal asks, "Will I dream?" And again, it's it's like one of those, Isaac Asimov, Carl Sagan, and all those sorts of things that they talk about this concept. I mean, Philip K. Dick wrote Blade Runner was based on the book Do Androids Dream of Electric Sheep. This is a common theme, a running theme, and it's so well done in this film. Because Sal is going, okay, do it, but what happens to me? Do I go into a deep sleep? And great. Let's talk about his house, a home with dolphins in. I don't know how practical.
I love that home.
It looks great, but I was thinking of the logistics of it. Like, the dolphins confined? I mean, is this like, what was it? Black. The documentary about SeaWorld, Blackfish or something.
I think they're more like pets. They probably can come and go as they please.
So it goes into the ocean because obviously he lives in the ocean.
But they're guaranteed food, by these
So does that mean a shark can come through? So you're trying to feed the dolphins. Here, dolphin.
Good question.
Right, and then this great white comes in and takes your arm off. Like
I don't know.
Plus,
maybe you're right. Maybe they are confined.
They can't swim in. That has to be salt water.
Yeah, that's
so it
true.
means that the kids won't be able to. So you can't use it as a swimming pool.
Well, you can. I mean, a lot of people swim.
What with a shark
water.
going around? Shark.
All right, well, let's say it's confined. All right.
All right.
You can use it as a
the
swimming
cruelty
pool.
to those dolphins is dreadful.
They seem happy. They're smiling.
Oh yeah, dolphins. Yeah, they're smiling dolphins. They're not the dolphins from Jaws 3, Sandy and the other one. But yeah, there might actually be, and I missed that in trivia. It's just the same dolphins. We just stuck them in this film as well. What do we like about what do you like about the music? I think the music in this is good, and I think okay. I thought we were going to disagree on that. I thought you were going to go, it's very pedestrian. But it's like there's doo 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 that sort of background music, and then the cut when he leaves cuts to the Leonov. Boom! It's like this huge, great Russian monolithic style, and you're like, yeah, okay, that's no subtlety there, straight into it. Yeah, I get it. But yeah, they wake him up first because they said that they had to, and they weren't involving him in anything, and it's all very standoffish until he pushes back and says, I love the exchange where he's going, how fast, right? He's not concerned about Helen Mirren banging on about the war and what they should be doing. He's just trying to get to the point. Especially when he says, I ask you questions, you give me answers, and you ask me questions and I give you answers. I guess that's how it works. I think I read that in a manual somewhere. Again, great scenes, but yeah, I just think it goes back to what you were saying. He's a man of science, and he's just wanted to talk to other engineers and scientists about something. And it's Helen Mirren that goes, I'm also a soldier in the Russian army. And he's like, yeah, so give me the answer to my question. Yeah, so I thought that is very well done.
Well, yeah, I think that's the whole thing. I mean, he's a scientist, and she is loyal to her country. That's why she doesn't see it at first as it's a big deal, her sacrificing one of her crew members. But then I think that she starts to work with him towards the end because she realizes that her crew members are in danger, and that's by them working together is the only way for them to.
But they would
escape.
never have, skipping forward to that bit at the end, she would never have made the decision to use the Leonov and the Discovery to get home if that event on Jupiter hadn't happened.
Yeah.
So she wouldn't have arbitrarily gone, do you know what, I have faith in you, let's do this. She just would have shut it down. What do we think of the models? Do we like the models of the exteriors? I think they do quite a good job with probably not a lot.
I did. I know you said you didn't like the special effects. They were definitely different. I mean, I guess they were using 80s technology back then.
Yeah.
There were still models, like you said, like for the Discovery. I don't even know if that was the original one. You know, it probably wasn't.
They had to build the whole thing again because.
Is it in like the Air and Space Museum or Smithsonian?
Well, no.
Discovery.
As soon as Kubrick finished 2001, he destroyed them to ever be used again.
That guy.
He threw it all on a big bonfire, and it all went up. Because he said, "I don't want Discovery ending up in this film, and I don't want Discovery ending in this film, and I don't want that in this film." And he just went, "So it's my decision." Boom. There you go.
It's funny that I was thinking about that the other day. When he's done with the film, he destroys everything, like any additional footage. That's why there's no deleted scenes available, because he just gets rid of them, everything. He just burns them.
Yeah, because
and it's just so sad, because I would love to see some extra stuff.
Well,
like from A Clockwork Orange, or what is it? Not I can't think of it now. Oh, not Good Morning Vietnam. I can't think of it. I'm very tired. The one that we did the podcast with, the military one with the
Full Metal Jacket.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Well, yeah. I mean,
I'm tired. Sorry.
All right. Okay. That's all. Well, I won't keep you. So they had to reconstruct it from the start. They had to look at the film. The film is the only thing they had to go off. He even destroyed the drawings. So they didn't even have any drawings to go on. No models, no drawings, just the film.
It's so weird too. Like Kubrick is so into history, and he was going to make that Napoleon movie. And
Right.
he had index cards of every single thing Napoleon was doing for like all of his life. Like he could tell you like what he had for breakfast on a certain day of his life. I don't understand why he would destroy stuff if he was so into history. Anyway.
Well, he was approached to do the sequel, and he said absolutely no chance whatsoever. And Hyams was picked because he did Outland, and they saw the potential of him being able to handle a science fiction film. Hyams contacted Arthur C. Clarke and Kubrick for the approval, and the telephone conversation with Kubrick lasted around 3 hours. And I'd love to know what was on there, because he basically would say, he was asking Kubrick, how did you what was, I need to get inside your head. And Kubrick's like, I need to get inside your head, because I need to know how you frame certain images in films that I've seen you do so far. And at the end of the conversation, he says, Mr. Kubrick, I would now like to know if you approve me of doing 2010. And Kubrick says, sure, of course. So I think if you get Kubrick's blessing, yeah, you're not going to.
He probably said, I really had to go to the bathroom. I'm glad I hung up on that guy.
Yeah, God, that guy can talk.
No, but it's sad, because now that you mentioned that, I would have loved to seen him do a sequel to this, because it would have been so different. It's kind of like when we were having a discussion with Superman 2, where Richard Donner didn't get to really do his completed version. We would have loved to seen that. And we did see some of it in the Donner cut, but it just would have been so nice if it was complete. Just like, oh man, Kubrick's version of this movie would have been just amazing. Again, that's why it's a different movie. It's a completely different movie.
Yeah. Well,
and again, I enjoy it, but sometimes I'm like, it's tough, because it's like, it's not the 2001 universe that I'm used to, Like
Yeah.
they could have called it something else if they wanted to, and it still would have been an enjoyable movie.
One of the things that Man liked, and she sat down at exactly the right moment. I've always used this term. Oh, if we go over there, what we need to do is just slingshot around and then come back. And she always chuckled since the first time I saw it, first time I said it, the first time now. She sat down and I went, "Do you want to know where I got that from? Look, it's the system with the bags. They're going to slingshot around the planet." And she just went, "Oh my God, that's where it comes from." I said, "Yeah, I am a child of the 80s. My film references, my vernacular, my terminology is from the 80s, usually from probably a John Cusack film." But
they
yes.
did that in Star Trek too, in Star Trek 4,
Yeah,
the
but they didn't
voyage
refer
home.
to. Did they call it slingshot?
Slingshot, yeah, around the sun. I think that is an actual technical term, or else they wouldn't have used it so many times.
I don't use it as, I don't give it the respect I use it. It's just, I would just slingshot around, as in just go around the corner or something. Yeah, but anyway, the probe finds chlorophyll. I thought that was good. I thought that was, the tension on that was really good. I thought that, yeah, that was very well done.
Explain that to me.
What?
Why is that good? I mean, I just
the
felt
tension of the scene.
That the probe found chlorophyll.
Yeah, and then
what was the significance?
The significance is that it was capable of sustaining life.
Oh, so that's what. Oh, so I didn't realize that. So
right, yeah. So, whoa, shock horror! This previously barren planet that we've always thought could never ever support life has got the beginnings of life on its surface, and that's the reason why you peeked around the corner. You're not supposed to see this, and the probe gets sent off. Boom, gone. What I was saying about the scene is the tension of the doo doo, and it gets more and more and more as it gets closer and you get to finding that. I thought that was well done. I mean, this is a Cold War movie similar in the way of like Rocky IV. So you've still got those undertones throughout that, but unlike Rocky IV, it doesn't ram them down your throat at the end of the film and say But we know what fan we are of Rocky IV, not Rocky versus Drago, of course, because that's dross.
No, everyone. No, I am a fan of Rocky versus Drago.
But I think you and maybe a handful of others. The rest of us are all purists.
That's not true.
Well, the purists win in this one. Anyway, I do like the spacewalk to Discovery. I like the fact that John Lithgow and Max have that chemistry, and that's built up quite quickly, but very effectively. And I like the fact that when Max dies, when he goes to explore the monolith, John Lithgow wears his hat for the rest of the film. Love that. Again, you don't need it bludgeoned around the head. You don't need to be told it's happening. It's just a subtle thing, and it's just there. It's just really good. Attention to detail. When they get to Discovery, John Lithgow's talking, but you can't see his face because it's all misted up. Now, most directors would have gone, "Oh, just clean it a little so that we can see John Lithgow." No. It was almost like, no, he's not taking his helmet off, and he's just going to continue the scene. That seemed to me a bit like Kubrick would do. Is no, don't clean it. It's natural. Just film it as in what's happening. I thought it was really good. And then once you get Discovery activated, you get Hal. What did you think about the reactivation of Hal?
No, I mean I liked it. I liked the deactivation of Hal, and
yes, Daisy,
and they went the opposite way. You could tell. Again, what was his name? Hal? Is that what his name was?
Yeah.
He was just such a nerd, and he's another one I can understand them being afraid of, where he would kind of side with his AI.
Oh, sorry, Kurnow was the scientist. Sorry, not Hal.
Oh, he was okay.
How was the AI? Yeah.
Oh, I said Howell. I thought his name was
Howell.
I don't know why.
Dr. Howell. Doctor to you. Yeah.
But anyway, I think that he would have sided with his. You could see he had a lot of sympathy for. It's almost like he's Frankenstein and Hal is Frankenstein's monster. I know back in the day, during 2001 and beyond, before this movie came out, Hal was considered one of cinema's greatest villains. I remember reading an article on that, like they would list Darth Vader and then Hal would be in there.
Yeah. I remember that. And this film goes, wait a minute, he's not a villain.
Yeah, he never was a villain. It was just that he was programmed and following orders, and that they conflicted with two different orders conflicted with each other.
So he had a breakdown.
And he had a breakdown.
Yeah, that's pretty good. A computer had a breakdown, and for Roy Scheider's character to find out that he was the one that signed the order, despite the fact that he knew nothing about it. Bit of political intrigue. That was pretty good. But it seems reactivating Hal. I'm not trying to this is probably the reason why it's not 10 out of 10. What, you just press these things down? Is that it? Is that how you get Hal back? Because all he did was just press them in order. And I was like, a monkey could do that.
Well,
I didn't see anything technical going on.
Again, I don't really recall. I know wasn't he asking him questions?
And it was coming out. It was babbling. It was coming out quickly. He doesn't talk to him until it's Hal, until he finally gets reestablished.
Yeah, it's kind of like, I guess, like putting in different memory chips into a computer, and then them having to download, and he has to do it in a specific sequence. But he also had to remove his memory from when he went crazy.
From the holographic memory,
yeah, which I thought was, and I am so glad they didn't go there where they made him a murderer again, because they could have easily done that, and I think that most writers or directors would have done that. It's like, well, we'll just have Hal do it again, kind of like, Jason coming back. So it's a good job.
Yeah, absolutely. But as we find this out, and obviously Max dies when he goes to investigate the monolith, the bits of where it cuts back to the Earth to his wife, or his wife who's now moved on, and his mum who has the hairbrush, that was a little bit bizarre. Didn't follow that too much. I do like the fact talking to his wife. I did like that exchange, because he's like, oh, you've remarried, is he a good man, does he treat you well, and all this sort of thing. And it's just like, it's just a really nice exchange. And obviously when he reappears to Roy Scheider to try and convince him, I did like that. Who sent this? And Hal's like, I don't know. Well, why? Why don't you know? You're the most advanced advanced AI, probably even with us collectively. So that was good. Dave Bowman in various forms, older, oldest. Yeah, that probably might have suddenly people going, oh, this was turning out to be, as you said, a nice paced film, and then you got this, and it doesn't really explain an awful lot. But that's for the purists, though, isn't it?
Yeah, from the original one, that's what happened. It's like he would transform into these different life cycles of himself. And I didn't really understand it at the time. I still don't. But it's just something, I guess, that connects the audience from the original 2001 to Dave Bowman.
Yeah.
That he's not the human he once was, but there's still some humanity left in him. Especially since he visits his mother and his wife, and we never saw his wife in the first movie. We didn't even know. I don't know. We might have seen his wedding ring, but that's as far as it went.
He talks to his kid though at the start, doesn't he?
No, that was with Roy Scheider's character,
Haywood Floyd. Yeah.
Haywood Floyd. Yeah.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
And that confused me too when I was watching it. I was like, wait a minute. He had a daughter. He didn't have a son. He must have been busy, this guy, Floyd. Like he said, his daughter was 17 now. And I guess it makes sense. It's 10 years later. But he must have divorced his wife.
Yes, and remarried. That was in. I found that out in the trivia. That's you're not supposed to suspend disbelief. Yeah, he's remarried. war escalates. I do like the space bridge, by the way. I think that's an Arthur C.
Yeah,
Clarke
it's pretty
concept.
cool.
So it's really, really cool.
Yeah.
I don't know how it operates in the fact that these two have to be going exactly the same speed. It has to be constant. I'm sure if Arthur C. Clarke was around, sadly very missed. But yeah, he would just go, "Well, you're an idiot, Charles.
I don't know.
It operates like this."
But again, if you believe in space travel, like some people do, like when they have spacewalks, it's like, why isn't the astronaut just going flying past the spaceship?
Yeah.
You know,
Why
because
isn't John
I think
Lithgow flying when he gets to Discovery? Why did he just fly straight off? Because this.
no, I'm saying in real life, like when
Right.
people have spacewalks, they don't go flying past like the shuttle or whatever thing that they came out of. It's just like they're parallel to that device. So maybe they're almost like on like a little path. I don't know that much about
It
science.
has to be so precise, because the moment that one goes faster, the space bridge collapses. Even very small, minor things would just trigger it, because it's a seal between the two.
Yeah.
So
I don't know, but I don't know if you just float in there, because I know like they'll say, and again, you might not believe it, like when somebody's in a rocket ship, it's like we're flying at 10,000 miles per hour. It's like, yeah, right. But we're not up in space. We don't know how that works.
Well, Roy Scheider decides that without the space bridge, he can just fly over in his suit, because that's where he goes over to talk to Helen Mirren, and she goes, "You have been drinking your whiskey from Kentucky," which I think is great.
Yeah, she was good. I thought she was Russian, so she did a fantastic job. And I didn't know it was Helen Mirren either.
Oh, right. Okay. Well, no, she did have. I did have a bit of that in
trivia.
In trivia, because her dad was, although British born and educated, Helen Mirren does actually speak some basic Russian, as her father was from of Russian descent. However, her accent in the film is exaggerated, as apparently in reality, a spoken Russian language is unsurprisingly tinged with an English accent. So she had to speak exaggerated Russian in order for it to be believable, rather than the actual thing, which she could speak.
Sounded good to us, because all we had was Yakov Smirnov, over here.
Oh, don't forget, famous Russian accents. We sail into history. Hunt for Red October. We've got Ramius in Hunt for Red October. Oh, God, the accents on display there. Yeah. I mean, yeah, it doesn't work. Tim Curry, yes. Sam Neill, yes. The others, yes. Sean Connery, definitely not. Sorry, Sean. It's a 10 out of 10 film, but your accent still doesn't be able to detract from it. But yeah. So they have to decide whether they're telling Hal the truth or not about the fact that Discovery is going to be expendable, and Hal's going to die, basically. I thought that was very well handled. I thought the fact that they had that device, the cut-off device, that was tension that didn't actually materialize, because the device had been found anyway to disconnect Hal should he not carry out the orders and stuff. But that exchange is pretty well done. The thing that annoys me, and again the reason why it doesn't get a 10, is that he leaves it far too late to go back onto the Leonov.
Yeah, I agree.
Discovery, and he would have been blasted, as you just pointed out. He would have been just blasted into space, because that thing is going belting along, right? Yeah. And you can't just sit there like, sort of Looney Tunes style with a rope going, oh, I'm just caught in this. No, you'd be vaporized. You pretty much, there would be nothing left of you. The G-force on you would have ripped the skin from your body. I mean, it just would have been everywhere. But yes, anyway, let's not go down that road. And then you get this the message of peace that's sent before Jupiter has its nuclear fusion and then turns into a star. Again, the reason why the film's not a 10 is because of the end. I think it just wraps everything up so quickly without any sort of explanation. The fact that the star appears, the fact that the message is given, and the fact that, the Premier and the President looked out the window at the same time and realised, this is all just a big mistake. it's been going on for months and months, if possibly not years, because obviously he would have to be in stasis until that time. So the conflict at the start had been going on for a considerable amount of time, and it ends just like that at the end. And I'm like, okay, that's why it's not a 10 for me anyway.
Well, it's definitely something you got to look into, because again, I don't know if it was like if the aliens are so powerful that they're able to control something like that. And I think that the whole thing is like it was their plan to get these people back to Europa or into Discovery, just so that they could work together, and then have them leave, and then have the Jupiter go, was it supernova or whatever, and become a sun.
Yeah, and become a star. Yeah.
And then that would convince people to stop the war that they were having, because if you remember too, I mean, they were dealing with the Cold War back in the 60s when they first made 2001 and when they wrote about it. I think the books push more the Cold War than anything.
Well, at the start of the book 2010, the US and the Russians are cooperating. There is no conflict.
But is there some kind of, was it happen in Latin America or something like that?
Where they say Central
America.
Yeah, but
is that in the book?
But there is a skirmish. There is something there, but they have to collaborate because they realise that they need each other in order to get to the answers of what they need to do. So it's almost like, as what we talked about, the scientists have decided, well, we're doing this, and basically gets their individual nation's blessing to go and do this. So it's a cooperative thing rather than having to be strong-armed into it.
Well, I think we knew too, back when the Cold War was going on, we could have destroyed each other, easily.
Yeah.
With the nuclear weapons that we had, and we would just never be the same again. Who knows if we would have existed after a certain amount of period in time. And I think that's what the aliens knew too, is that if these people are going to have war, it could be devastating. It could destroy, the life down there. They'll never evolve. That'll be the end of it. And again, they were trying to push a message that there's more important things, almost going back to the beginning, like when the guy from Russia, or what was his job? He was like
he's like he was like an ambassador.
Well, he's a dignitary or something like that. When he spoke to Roy Scheider, they had that back and forth for 30 seconds. It was like, let's just answer questions without having any kind of loyalty to our countries. They believed that which was more important was humanity's existence and going forward and learning about what we can learn about. So yeah, I mean, I don't know, it's one of those movies, again, I'm sure if you go on YouTube you can dissect the movie, or people have dissected it, what it could mean, and then people who read the books too it'd be very helpful to see how different they are.
That email exchange between the director and Arthur C. Clarke was turned into a book called The Odyssey File. So the emails were actually, and I did go when I researched this yesterday. I went on Amazon, and you can only buy a second-hand copy for £60.
Jeez.
So I might have to try and find that via.
It's got to be on Wikipedia somewhere.
Yeah, it's got to be found
writings
somewhere. Absolutely, yeah, it'd have to be.
Yeah.
Anyway, yeah. All I like from that guy is this is very bad for my asthma. It's like, I don't know. I don't think he was Russian. Let's put it that way. But he was very good. Should we move on to trivia time?
Sure.
Yeah, we do this. A little bit. Here we go. It's trivia time.
Trivia time.
So, the film made $40 million, which isn't bad. It was the 17th highest grossing film of 1984.
That sounds bad.
Well, it was kept off the top spot. Do you want to have a guess what it was kept off the top spot by? The biggest film of the summer of 1984.
Oh, I couldn't. Was it Back to the Future?
No, that was 85.
I don't
know. That's your clue.
I don't know.
Neutron Dance. Giving you clues here.
Oh, that was a clue. Oh, Beverly Hills Cop.
Yeah.
That was your imitation
That
of
was a very
Eddie
bad Eddie
Murphy.
Murphy. Yeah.
Yeah, that was like a polar bear or something.
Oh, cheers, thanks. Well, I'm not known for my Eddie Murphy or my impressions, so yeah, that still continues then. Yeah, it was kept off the top spot, so it could have been a number one box office number one. And it was competing with other sci-fi films at the time. Do you want to have a guess at the other two that were out at the time?
You're killing me. No, just tell me.
John Carpenter's Starman, which I thought was dreadful.
I love that. I actually enjoyed it.
I don't remember good things about that. And also David Lynch's Dune was out that year as well, and it ended up outgrossing both of them. So yeah, go Roger Hyams.
Okay, but still 17 is pretty low.
I know when he's saying make it sound like that, but look, it made 40 million. I don't know how much if it took 38 to do it, then that's not very good. But I think that was just domestic anyway. Roger Ebert wrote in his review of this film, "I felt that the poetry of 2001 was precisely in its mystery, and that to explain everything was to ruin everything, like the little boy who cut open his drum to see what made it bang." In spite of strongly disliking the idea of a sequel to 2001, Ebert considered 2010 a good movie in itself and gave it 3 stars out of 4.
Yeah, I would agree with that. It's a good movie by itself.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. The anti-nuclear sign visible in widescreen when Arthur C. Clarke makes his cameo in front of the White House was an actual long-standing icon in Lafayette Park on the far side of the Executive Mansion, tended for years by an activist, but which grew in size by degrees over several years. An even larger version was banished when all semi-permanent protest displays were banned from the park due to increased security concerns. So it's probably a very long-winded way of saying, yeah, you know the anti-war sign? That's Arthur C. Clarke holding it. So he makes a cameo. That's all right. Would you like to? And I'm not going to do the guessing thing. The movie's first score was penned by Tony Banks of Genesis.
Yeah.
The original score. Banks used parts of his score for the movie Lorca and the Outlaws. So he was dropped, and he took his score and went, "Fine, I'll go and take it somewhere else." And he did. I don't even know what it is. Lorca and the Outlaws. Don't know. Don't care. Do like Genesis though.
Yeah, me too. Yeah.
Even though if you've seen Phil Collins recently, he's not in good health. What else have we got? When Helen Mirren asks Roy Scheider about Kentucky, he says that they play very good basketball. As it turns out, Dr. Floyd's answer turned out to be remarkably prescient. The 2009-2010 season for the University of Kentucky's men's basketball program turned out to be a resurgent year for the team after a few years of relative mediocrity in terms of the program's high standards. The season saw the team become the first Division I collegiate program to reach 2,000 wins. The team was ranked number 1 in the nation for portions of the season, and it entered the NCAA tournament as a number 1 seed and finished the season with the most wins of any Division I team for that year, 35.
That's pretty freaky.
Yeah, absolutely. When they're going over and he's telling the joke about the marathon and he doesn't finish it, to try and get calm down John Lithgow about it.
Yep.
The actual joke is, I was watching the London Marathon. I saw one runner dressed as a chicken and another dressed as an egg. Due to the fog, no one could tell which came first.
Oh, that's good.
That's the gag, but the gag that wasn't finished. So it's nice that we even know that. And yeah, have I got anything else? No, I haven't got anything else. There we go.
All right.
2010. You can go to sleep now, Joe, if you're a bit tired. Although, what is it there now? It's 11. You can go for an 11 o'clock nap. 11 a.m. nap.
What was the sequel? What was going to be the third book?
2061 is Odyssey 3. They never called it. It wasn't. It's 2010 Odyssey 2 was the title. The year that we made contact, just put in there because it sounds pretty cool.
Yeah.
And then you had 3001, Odyssey 4. That was the fourth
Unfortunately, I think so. I mean, hopefully they just stay away from any kind of sequel until like another 10 to 20 years, because we've just been getting crap lately, and I'm sure that they'll ruin it.
Oh, how will be Sal? Yeah, there'll be so much identity politics put in there you won't even recognize it. Identity politics is killing movies. Discuss. Yep. Anyway, yes, that's for another discussion on another podcast. Definitely not mine. But, and here's the nice little segue. If you do want to hear insight, and I do mean this, it'd make it sound as if it'd be really sarcastic, and I'm not at all. If you want some really, really good conversation, and obviously us, we're really good. But listen to Joe's podcast. If you're just tuning into this because you go, oh, I like this film, and you've not heard any other podcast, Joe, tell them where they can find you and find the wonderful chatter between the three of you.
Yeah, it's a WDWNT Nerd Alert, and this is our 9th season. And we have a lot of fun together. We were discussing the Rocky movies. That Fedra had seen them for the first time ever, which blew my mind. That she had never seen a single Rocky movie before, and I think she's in her mid-30s. So I guess that.
Can I have a spoiler alert? What was are you allowed to tell me what her favorite one was? Or do
I could tell you.
Go on.
Rocky 2.
2?
Yeah.
2?
Yeah.
Did she justify? Did she explain why she thinks that's...
Well, she watched them back to back. I mean, I'm sure it had to do with Adrian being in a coma, and Rocky winning at the end where she didn't know what was going to happen. So I think that made her feel good.
Okay. All right. Well, onward. The next film that we're going to be doing is, I think, at the moment, Cannonball Run 2. Starring Dean Martin and Frank Sinatra. Makes it sound like a completely different film when you advertise it like that. But yeah, let's do something a bit more fun. It'll be all 4 of us on it, so we'll all be back. We'll make sure that we're back, and then I think there'll be a season close film. So I don't know what film that's going to occupy, because I've pretty much done all the sequels that I wanted to do and wanted to cover. I've done this one and Jaws 3. These were the 2 sequels I had in mind. Way back when I started it, because I never would have put Aliens in there. I would have put Jaws 3, obscure. 2010, obscure, would have fit the bill. But now we've done Aliens, Die Hard, Cannonball Run 2 when we do that, and then so we've got to have a nice finish on that, and then we'll decide what we're going to do for the next season. So yeah, thanks for listening. Have a good day. Have a good sleep, Joe. And we'll see you all later. Cheers.
See ya.